to start the year by reading this poem by the poet Martin Espada. And I like to read it as a sort of modified, responsive reading. So this morning, every time you hear me say, "This is the year," you are invited to echo back, "This is the year." This poem comes from the tradition of liberation theology, in which we begin by looking at the plight of those who are the most marginalized, the most oppressed, the poorest, and imagining what a world that values and centers those people could look like. So, this is the year.
This is the year
That squatters evict landlords, gazing like admirals from the rail of the roof deck, or levitating hands in praise of steam in the shower. This is the year.
This is the year
That shawled refugees deport judges who stare at the floor and their swollen feet as their files are stamped with their destination. This is the year
This is the year
that police revolvers, stove hot, blister the fingers of raging cops, that nightsticks splinter in their palms. This is the year
This is the year
that dark-skinned men lynched a century ago return to sip coffee quietly with the apologizing descendants of their executioners. This is the year
This is the year
that those who swim the border's undertow and shiver in boxcars are greeted with trumpets and drums at the first railroad crossing on the other side. This is the year
This is the year
that the hands pulling tomatoes from the vine uproot the deed to the earth that sprouts the vine. The hands canning tomatoes are named in the will that owns the bedlam of the cannery. This is the year
This is the year
that the eyes stinging from the poison that purifies toilets awaken at last to the sight of a rooster-loud hillside, pilgrimage of immigrant birth. This is the year
This is the year
that cockroaches go extinct, that no doctor finds a roach embedded in the ear of an infant. This is the year
This is the year
that the food stamps of adolescent mothers are auctioned like gold doubloons, and no coin is given to buy machetes for the next bouquet of severed heads in coffee plantation country. If the abolition of slave manacles began as a vision of hands without manacles, then this is the year.
This is the year
If the shutdown of extermination camps began as imagination of a land without barbed wire or the crematorium, then this is the year.
This is the year
If every rebellion begins with the idea that conquerors on horseback are not many-legged gods, that they too drown if plunged in the river, then this is the year.
This is the year
So may every humiliated mouth, teeth like desecrated headstones, fill with the angels of bread. I like to begin the year with that reading because what we imagine matters. It matters to our ability to build a better world. It matters to our ability to remind ourselves who around us and what around us we might try to change. To live in a world in which every person is safe and valued. To live in a world in which we care for our earth and live sustainably on it. And this is a world that we have never lived in. It has not yet existed. So we bring the power of our imaginations so that we can called forth a vision of what that world might be. We bring the power of choosing to act as if, as a piece of creating that world. Yesterday, I went to Concord for a song leading workshop with Matt Meyer. It was called Song Leading for Justice. It was a joint effort with UU Mass Action, and the emphasis was songs that you might use at protests, that you might use to gather people together at organizing meetings, songs you might use to give each other courage when times are hard. One story Matt told, which I greatly enjoyed, was he said, I was at a protest at the South Bay Detention Center, and 18 of us who were risking arrest sat down in front of the doors to the detention center. We were going to sing and commit nonviolent civil disobedience as a way of saying that we do not believe people should be imprisoned for having sought a better life for themselves and their children. And he said, a guard walked up to us and he said, the guard said, do you know that you are blocking the entrance to a prison? And Matt thought, how nice. How often in your life does someone affirm to you that you are doing exactly what you came here to do? He said, nobody ever says to me, Matt, you sent a lot of emails today. But he said, well, that's what we're here to do. We're here to block the entrance to this prison. But singing together is a way of gathering our energy and our strength for these acts of stubborn insistence that some things are wrong and they must change. And singing together is also a way of acting as if we are in relationship to those whom we may not know personally. Because of course we are related. All of us are related by virtue of being alive on this earth. So about that same, different detention center, about the Burlington ICE Detention Center, Laura Wagner told the story. She said, sometimes when we have vigils there, we stand on this overpass and we sing. We sing in Spanish so that the people in the detention center know that we are singing to them. We are there for them. Most of us don't know these people. But when you stand on the overpass and you look at the windows, you can see their faces. We sing to them as if these are our beloved family members. And some of them, when they get out of detention, they say, you gave me strength. You gave me hope. I knew that a better world was possible because you sang to me. And I knew I wasn't alone. Sometimes we choose to do things that are about creating this better world that we wish to live in. Sometimes we choose to do things because the beauty strengthens us. I read a Facebook post from the Reverend Jake Morrill, which was a long list of many things we are struggling with in this country right now. And at the end of the list, he says, years ago, the literary theorist Elaine Scarry wrote a book called On Beauty and Being Just. She says, beauty is that which awakens us to a longing for creation and fulfillment. She says that when we fall in love with beauty, we want to share it. And whether it's a painting or a person or a culture or a region of land, when we fall in love with it, we want to defend it. She says we'll fight to preserve it. And what we seek in the name of beauty is justice. The teaching we shared earlier with our children about being faced with a seed and choosing to treat the seed as if it is what we are hoping to produce is a teaching I first heard just before the election last November. A young UU woman who is an organic farmer put a video on Facebook. She held up a pumpkin seed. She said, I have to treat this seed as if it is a pumpkin in order for it to become a pumpkin. And she said, days before the election, don't tell me that you didn't vote because it doesn't make a difference. If you want to live in a democracy, if you want to live in a country of justice and equality and peace, you have to treat it as if it is one. You have to call it forth with your actions. You have to create it together. So this January, as we enter a new year, we face all that is broken in our world. And we create together the visions of a better world. And we share our ideas about how to live as if that better world is here, that we may call it closer to us, that dream. I am going to teach you a song that Matt Meyer taught me yesterday, which I taught the choir this morning, so as usual, I asked for their support. The words are, "When the world is sick, can't no one be well? But I dreamt we were all beautiful